Hey guys, Hardway back again with another rant about the just reliving all the memories from the various Halo games. I did Halo 1 recently, and I'm on another road trip and figured it was a good time to do Halo 2. There's going to be some harsh edits in this video, and it's just because I forgot to talk about stuff, or I talked about stuff in the wrong order, so please excuse that. That's the reason why. God, I have a lot to talk about with this game. I played this game almost every day for 3 years. I loved it. People that lived through it know how ubiquitous Halo 2 was. Everybody played it. Like, you know how like nowadays when you refer to a multiplayer game, there's certain titles where like a non-gamer refers to playing a multiplayer game, they're probably going to name drop like Call of Duty or something. There was no other game that somebody would say from 2004 to like 2000 through like 2006, nobody would have said anything other than Halo if they're just going to name drop some gaming. Halo was all anybody fucking played. And it really started to kick off with Halo 2. So in 2004, Halo had been the main like LAN game for a while, but not a ton of people LANed. That's a pretty niche experience. But a lot of people may have done it like once, and of course they played the obligatory Blood Gulch CTF. They played it one time, and they had fun. They had fond memories of it, and then they were holding on to that and using Halo 2's Xbox Live to they were looking forward to getting to do that more often. So when the game came out in 2004, all the way up until Halo 3 came out in 2007, Halo 2 maintained the number one most played spot on the Xbox Live charts for at least 2.5 of those years. I think something may have started to contest it right towards the end. I know Gears of War was up there for a little while, but I don't think it ever took the number one spot. I'm pretty sure that Halo 2 had the number one spot on that list all the way until Halo 3 came out. Because COD 4 didn't come out until after Halo 3. And aside from that game, I can't think of anything else being more popular. Not that I can remember. So it was just wild. It was wild the way Halo 2 changed Xbox Live. Because I had Xbox Live for, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 months prior to Halo 2 coming out. And I remember Rainbow Six 3 was a really big game on there. And Rainbow Six 3 Black Arrow was a big game on there. Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow was pretty big. But these all came out, maybe not so much Rainbow Six 3, but Black Arrow and Pandora Tomorrow came out pretty close to Halo 2 coming out. And so, I played all these different games, and I had friends that I had made in each of those games. And when I go to look on that friends list, once Halo 2 came out, everybody was playing the same game. Top to bottom, my whole friends list, Halo 2. And it was like that for years afterwards. Several years. It was just the only game people played, and it really can't be overstated just how everywhere Halo 2 was. I was one of the small percentage of people that would actually LAN Halo 1 every chance I got. Not nearly as often as I would have liked, but yeah, I was also just super stoked to get to play whenever I wanted to. That appealed to me so freaking much. And there was just so much anticipation going into Halo 2. And I was surprised at how widespread it was. Of how, all these people are really excited about this game that I didn't even know played the first one. I just remember thinking well shit, where were you a year ago when I was trying to organize LANs? I wish I'd have known you liked the game. So I remember having that feeling a lot. I was a senior in high school in November of 2004, and I remember earlier in that year, I had my dad was always like real strict about school attendance. Like I could not like play hooky ever. But we had a senior skip day prior to this, like, I don't know, October or September, that I made a deal with my dad. I was like, look, I'll go to school on this senior skip day if you let me have November 9th off, the day Halo 2 comes out, because I'm going to go to that midnight launch on that Monday night, and I'm going to play it until I can't keep my eyes open, and then I'm going to wake up and I'm going to play it again. That's all. I'm not fucking going to school that day. So yeah, I remember like it was like the ultimate example of like delayed gratification, because it really sucked being like one of like 4 people in my classes all day on that senior skip day. But I'm like, it's all gonna be worth it, and it was so great. So Halo 2 comes out on November 9th, 2004, and me and a bunch of friends, we all get together, we all go to the same midnight launch. We've had that shit pre-ordered for months, dates circled on the calendar. We all knew what was up. We were all skipping school that day. And so we had this LAN at my buddy's place. I don't know, there were probably about 7 or 8 of us there, I think. I remember playing 4-on-4s that night. Yeah, God, it was a blast, man. I remember the first game I played was Territories on Beaver Creek. I wanted to try the new mode because Territories wasn't in Halo 1. And then I saw Beaver, I was like, oh, they remade Battle Creek. I love Battle Creek, so I flocked to that. So yeah, that was my first Halo 2 game. I remember playing as an elite. I was pretty excited to be able to play as an elite. And yeah, we landed for a while. I remember discovering really quickly that the default settings fucking sucked, because we hadn't been landing with radar in Halo 1 for years and years and years at this point, and we were used to spawning with a pistol and assault rifle with no radar. And so Halo 2's default settings were so fucking trash, with it being SMG only starts, no secondary, only the SMG and radar. And I was like, all right, well that's not gonna do. So I remember having to take like a bunch of time to make like a battle rifle starts no radar custom game for like everything that we were gonna play that night. Well, we eventually did, and we had a ton of fun. The game was just, we loved it. The other thing about launch night that I remember vividly, after I kind of discovered how bad the default settings were and that I wanted to play using custom settings, I remember making the game types, and then I started to look around for like, okay, well, how do I host and let other people join? Like I just assumed that there was a server browser, because I had played Halo 2 PC, I had played a little bit of XBC, and I had played pretty much every fucking other game on Xbox Live. They all had server browsers. So Halo 2 gets a lot of credit for inventing matchmaking. They did invent matchmaking. No other game was doing that. However, it came at a pretty fucking severe cost. There was no server browser. And I just remember like the feeling of panic slowly starting to build as I searched everywhere in the menus trying to figure out how to open my game so that randoms on the internet could join it. And I just remember being so disappointed on launch night that there was no server browser. And that always kind of stuck with me. And so that really helped solidify my hatred for the default settings and all the pre-patch stuff that drove me nuts, because matchmaking was one of the only ways to play unless you wanted to do all the legwork of setting up customs constantly. And customs back then were a lot more appealing than they are today, because there was no progression system or anything. Like the only reason to play matchmaking was, 1, you got into a game faster, and 2, ranks. But if you didn't mind waiting to play a game with better settings, like there was no reason to not play customs. I played a shitload of customs in Halo 2. But yeah, not having a server browser made that a lot harder. It was super disappointing. And everybody went to bed that night except for like me and the host's younger brother. And him and I played the first 4 levels of the campaign in co-op. I remember it was the Arbiter mission, where you kill the heretic, And that mission took us forever, and we were so tired. And it was like probably 4:30, almost 5 in the morning when we finished it. And, you know, after having to wake up that morning and go to school and everything, this was like a Monday night bleeding into Tuesday morning. We were just so fucking tired. And so eventually just passed out. This was at his place. I went home when I woke up, having that day off of school, and I just started playing immediately again. Like, I was probably back up and playing by like 2 p.m. Just devouring it. And yeah, it was just amazing. It felt so good for it to finally be out. I remember not liking the campaign nearly as much as I did the first game, which I still feel that way about. Like, it's just the gameplay is not as fun to me. I appreciated them expanding the story as much as they did and learning about the Covenant and stuff, but one, we all know the ending sucked. The ending was super disappointing. But yeah, I appreciated like learning the motivations of the Covenant and stuff like that, but man, the gameplay is just not even close to being as fun to me, especially Legendary. God, Legendary is just a fucking chore in Halo 2. I still don't enjoy playing it. But this was before we knew how good the combo was, and this was before like all of the pre-patch balance woes really started to show themselves, because that game was balanced so poorly when it first came out. Not only do you have the shit settings with the SMG starts and the radar, but like the battle rifle had a ton of spread on it. The pistol, the dual wield pistol, was like the destroyer of worlds. That caught a huge nerf in the big patch. You could stand on a plasma grenade and it wouldn't one-hit kill you. I remember rockets were a one-hit melee if you were jumping. There was all kinds of like, I don't know, a lot of weird balance decisions with that. And oh my god, I remember midship was plasma rifle starts. Yeah, before the patch, probably my favorite retarded balance decision was it took 6 melees to kill a man. 6. That is fucking insane. Think about that now. It's been 2 melees regardless of context now for 15 years since Halo 3 came out. So after the patch they changed it to where a standing still melee, it took 3. But if you were like moving forward or jumping, you could do more damage. Like a jumping melee was worth a lot of damage. But yeah, when the game first came out, 6 melees. And then there were certain weapons like the rocket launcher and the sentinel beam where you could get a one-hit kill jumping melee with it. But it was just so dumb. Like the game, I can't stress enough how stupid the game played. Especially like once people like kind of knew what they were doing and like at a mid-level and a high level, the game just played so poorly before the patch. It was really, really bad. 6 melees. It was real bad. It was real bad. You could pull the flag through walls. So like in Zanzibar, imagine you pull the flag in the base and you run towards the staircase and you just throw it into the corner and a teammate outside the base could pull it through the wall and then run at windmill. So that was real. That was real bad too. Bouncing the flag on Colossus, you throw the flag bottom middle and it would hit the conveyor belt and it would super bounce up and land in your own base. So you could rattle off like a couple of flag captures in a row, and that was the meta. That was the way that game type was played until the big patch. What else? The ranking system. It was super hard to level up, especially after like I would say like rank 10 or 12. Like it really started to slow down a lot. You had to win a lot of times in a row. A loss would take you back pretty hard. I didn't push ranked super hard. Like I would push until it got like pretty fucking difficult, and then I'm like, I'm content. So that point for me came about like rank 17 or 18, and I was pretty satisfied with that. Like if you were over a 20 pre-patch ranks, you were good at Halo, like really good. Another one of the gems from pre-patch Halo 2 was when you play Assault, particularly ranked or like clan match Assault was where you would really see this because people cared more. But there was, when the offense was holding the ball, when the round timer ended, you'd get sudden death. And for some reason, Bungie thought it would be a good idea to make sudden death infinite with the bomb. When you're holding the bomb, there was no time limit. And what people would do in like ranked big team or major, there was major and minor clan match depending on player count, or like major clan match, you'd see it a lot too, is they'd get the bomb and they'd get out of the map. And it happened a lot on Headlong, because like if the offense team, especially if the offense team was able to get a hold of the Banshee, they would get the bomb carrier and like lift him up to some whack ass part of the map and get him out of the map, and he'd hide there for as long as it took for the other team to quit. And I'm talking overnight. So you would get these games where like these like high level ranked big team battle games that would go for hours and hours and hours. So the defense didn't want to quit. They didn't want to let their guard down, because like maybe if they all go idle, you know, the bomb guy finally comes down and tries to score it. And then you'd have teams where the defenders would like pretend to go idle, but they'd still all be on like a call together or something. And if somebody spotted the bomb carrier finally going for the arm, you know, they'd all spring into action. Like, it was fucking insane. Like, that never should have been in matchmaking. So finally, Bungie realized, hey, maybe infinitely lasting rounds is a bad idea. And they finally took off the sudden death. It's just a toggle option in the settings. And so they just toggled it from on to off, and it completely fixed the problem. But yeah, for a while, there were legitimate wars of attrition with Assault games. It was really stupid. I'm trying to think of what else I remember about like the early days. I remember I was in a quote-unquote clan for Halo 1, which was so dumb because you could only have 4 boxes. So like you were in a clan to play 2v2s unless one of you is 2-boxing, and then you might be able to get 3v3s. But so that clan carried forward into Halo 2, and so like my really early days with that game were like totally focused on like clan matches, which was so cool. God, I miss the clan match playlist so fucking much, man. It would only let you queue if everybody in your party was in the same clan. So you knew going in that you were going to face a full stack and they were going to be communicating. So it was just super, super sweaty games. The clan match playlist, man, if you got that rank up, like everybody in your clan would share it. So like, let's say you have a clan of 10 people and 6 of you are really good and 4 of you are shit, and the 4 of you that are shit get on and start playing clan matches under your clan's banner, they could bring your rank down. So like, you basically had to have like permission from your clan's leaders to play clan matches. It was a very weird social setup. But I remember I was in a clan, we had about like 10 of us, and we took it very seriously. None of us were any good, but we took it very seriously. And I remember like sharing notes about the game, like as we were starting to learn like how good the combo was, especially without BR starts. Like the combo would just shit on you, especially on Colossus. I remember it being super, super prevalent on Colossus, and us like talking to each other about that, of how important it was to control the combo. And on Beaver Creek, we started calling it Combo Creek, because remember, you could pull shit through walls, and if you spawn in your flag, there's plasma pistols by the teleports right up against the wall, and you could pull that plasma pistol through the wall basically on spawn, and it was pretty much always there. So almost fucking everybody was walking around with a combo. And of course you have the BR spawning in the basement, so you could, by the time you even see an enemy, you already have a combo. So yeah, the early meta of the game was really, really shitty. Dual wielding magnums or SMG magnum was super powerful. Yeah, the BR was pretty weak at range because of the spread. The sniper was like uncontestable because you just had fuck all for options. one of my favorite parts about pre-patch Halo 2, I didn't want to forget about the how you could turn on your handicap and then get behind the wheel of a Warthog, and your bomb carrier would go stand against like a slanted, like a sloped rock or something, and you could ram him with your Warthog, and because you had your handicap on, you didn't do as much damage, but the physics were still in play. And so you would launch your bomb carrier across the map, and if you did that right at the beginning of a game of like Zanzibar or Coagulation or something, a lot of times you would launch him over the enemy and behind their lines, and they wouldn't know, and he'd get a sneaky arm in the first like 25 seconds of the round. That was pretty cool. It was worth remembering. One of the other cool things about pre-patch Halo 2 was you could use a scoped weapon like a sniper or a rocket or whatever, zoom in on a guy and like quickly switch to your sword and pull the trigger, and the game would still think you had red reticle, and so it would give you a sword lunge from like 10x sniper zoom range, and you would just send yourself flying across the map. I think speedrunners still use it because campaign uses pre-patch balance, but that was in multiplayer as well, and that was pretty cool. I was kind of sad to see that one go. I'll never forget, like, I was such a nerd back then. Like, I was just oblivious of how nerdy I was coming across to the people around me, I'm sure. But, like, I remember sitting in class and being bored and just, like, using pages of my spiral notebook to, like, come up with Zanzibar offense strat, like, one flag on Zanzibar strats for offense and shit. Like, okay, Mike is going to go this way and do this, and Alex is going to go this way and do this, like, and trying to have it all synergize and come together. None of it ever worked. Nobody ever, I was never able to implement any of it, but it made time pass in class a little faster. But, like, that was how, like, on my mind it was. I was just always fucking thinking about the game. I loved the game, even though it was dog shit when it came out. One of my favorite times in my life was in the winter, like, I think it was December of 2004. So the game was still super new, like a month, slightly over a month old. I was a senior in high school, and we were having it was exam week right before winter break. And so our only responsibility was to show up and take like 2 exams per day, and then we'd be done by like noon. And some days you didn't even have 2. Some days were done, you show up at 10 or you leave at 10 because you only had 1 exam. And like all my friends had like just started driving too, so we had all this freedom, this brand new game that fucking everybody played, this pop culture phenomenon that we just could not get enough time with. That exam week was so fun because I spent almost like that entire week at a couple of friends' houses that lived real close together, and I remember like we'd all spend the night at one of them, play all night, go take our stupid tests, come back, play all day again, and then their parents would be like, all right, y'all got to get the fuck out of here. And we'd go we'd take our CRTs and like walk down the street to the other kid's house and do it all again there. We spent like the entire week there. And then after that, we were on winter break. Oh, it was great. It was just like Halo 2 all day, every day, that whole time. I remember I was like really into that Skillet album that just came out around that time with like Forsaken and Fingernails and Imperfection on it. I remember I was like, that album was like my life at that point. And every time I hear it, I think of exam week from winter of 2004, my senior year. God, that was such a fun period of my life. One of the most enduring memories of Halo 2 during its lifespan on Xbox Live. Anybody that played it during that time probably remembers People Super Bouncing. That was discovered pretty early on. I want to say like early 2005. The first one was on Zanzibar. Inside the base, there's some glass windows that if you destroy, there's still like a shard of glass sticking out of the wall, and you can crouch under it and wedge yourself in there, and then you drop off the ledge into the base, and you land right on a crease, and that's what shoots you up, and you were able to get on top of the base like that. God, I just remember kids losing their fucking mind over Kids Super Bowl. You're cheating, I'm reporting you. You cheating. And like, yeah, it wasn't fun to play against. You know, it wasn't good for the game, but you know, it's not cheating. It's in the fucking game. Anybody can do it. So I remember once people discovered like what to look for, if you brought up your friends list in game and then quickly backed out of it, you would see the map without like textures rendered, and it kind of shows you where the seams and creases were. And so if you were able to like wedge yourself into something to where you're crouched and you let go of crouch, but you're still crouching there because you're wedged, you do that first and then you drop onto one of those creases. That's how you super bounced. And so, yeah, the first one was on Zanzibar. People found a ton of them on burial mounds to get out of the map. Pretty much every map you could do it. You saw it a lot on... people got out of the map a lot on Warlock. I don't remember all of them, but it was pretty prevalent, especially on Zanzibar, because that was the first one. And it was pretty controversial for a while. Kids lost their mind over that. Kids lost their mind completely over BXR. Oh my God, that was so controversial. Once it was discovered that you could melee, hit reload, and then instantly shoot, if you had a full clip, that reload acted as an animation cancel. So kids would, BXR just became part of the meta, especially in VR starts. And so when kids would once that was discovered, it became more and more and more and more prevalent to where it was so funny. You could see it coming a mile away. If kids would walk up to you without shooting with their BR out from way too far away, trying for a BXR. And it was so common, you could just bait it out. It was fucking hilarious. Or you could just crouch and they would shoot over your head. Like, that was also, because nobody could ever do it while aiming down. Like, it was just, kids were fucking robots with that. They would try for it. They telegraphed it so easily. It was hilarious. But kids would die to it, and they would lose their mind, and they would jump to the forums and scream about how you're cheating and how BXRing is cheating. And then, of course, Bungie says something about, how it wasn't intended, and, no shit, it wasn't intended. It's a glitch. But they said something about, how glitches are cheating or whatever. And, oh my God, the butthurt casuals took that and ran with it for years. BXRing is cheating. You're a filthy cheater. Bah, bah, bah. Of course, Bungie was never going to patch it out of the game, and they were never going to ban anybody over it. So clearly what we're doing now is just accepting it as part of the game. It's just like how fighting games have all kinds of little glitches that they just become part of the game. But I would say at least 50% of Halo 2's player base was so fucking butthurt over it. All the talentless Melvins were up in arms over it because they just refused to learn a new skill. I died instantly, so the game's broken. They would do no further analysis on it of why it happened, how to counter it, how to do it. Oh my God, it was so pathetic. So from November until the big patch hit in I want to say April of 2005. So for 5 months, the game's balance was fucking atrocious. As well as the settings, big team battle, coagulation. You know how all those spawns are way far out in the base? You spawn in a fucking field, and there's wraiths and shit. If your team doesn't have map control, you have a wraith in your ass the second you spawn. You have only an SMG. Big team battle was SMG starts. I just remember spawning in a field and instantly getting wraith over and over again. I was this game is so stupid, especially coming from landing Halo 1, where I actually had a precedent of pistol AR start, no radar, and then just jumping into Halo 2 and playing fucking garbage for 5 months, almost 6 months, or before the patch came out. And thank fuck for the patch. Oh my God, man. It addressed so much. The BR shot straight, you could stand on plasma nades and they'd one hit. The Magnum got nerfed, so it's still usable in dual wield, but it wasn't just comical how it was when it came out. BR starts in BTB. They got rid of plasma rifle starts in midship. It was feasible to rank up. Like, what was like you were a god if you were 20, I always viewed 40. In Halo 2, I always viewed if you could get a 40, you were really, really good at Halo. And persistent, too. Because that was the other thing I forgot to mention, was like, what was the matchmaking experience like pre-patch? Cheaters. Holy shit. Cheaters. Fucking everywhere cheaters. I remember if you were host, there was a way to tell if you were going to be host just from searching. Like, if there were already boxes there, you weren't getting host. But if you got in first and there were no like players already logged in, there were none of those like little yellow squares filled of like player found or whatever. If you were the first ones in, you were getting host. You just knew. And so I remember this was before like modding, because the new maps hadn't come out yet. The big problem was standby, and only host could stand by the game. He'd hit the standby button on his modem, and then he would continue playing as normal while his opponents would walk in straight lines and walk into walls. And so on my screen, if you're not host, he looks like he's walking into a wall, and I'm shooting him 1,000 times and he's not dying. I'm punching him in the back, he's not dying. Nothing I do is mattering, because nothing I do is registering. And on his screen, he's just killing me helplessly over and over again. And it was a really, really bad problem, especially in the head-to-head playlist. There used to be a 1v1 playlist when the game first came out. And basically, if you weren't host of the game, you would just back out of the search. Like, there's no point in even playing the game, because you know that host is going to stand by you. It was like guaranteed it was going to happen. I probably played 5 or fewer head-to-head games, and I got standbyed in all of them. It was so fucking stupid. So yeah, the cheating was a really, really bad problem. Mostly in ranked, though. You didn't get a ton of it in like team training. Yeah, it was. Whew. And then once the new maps came out, which I think happened alongside the big patch in April, they added Sanctuary and Warlock. I think those were the first two, or maybe it was Turf. I don't know. A lot of them came out like all in a pretty close time span from each other, but those maps were not on the disc. You had to download them, which had some kind of correlation with modders, because I remember if you were going to get affected by a modder, it only worked on the new maps, because the new maps were on the hard drive and not the disc. And I remember playing with this guy who either, I don't know if it was a problem with his Xbox or a problem with his game disc, but it would make a certain sound when you're loading into a game. Like, you've already finished searching and it's like, you know, you don't know what map you're playing yet. His disc or his Xbox would make a certain sound to let him know that it's going to be a disc map or it's going to be a new map. And he would just back out if it was going to be a new map. Like, that's how fucking bad it was. Because if you went through with it and you joined the game and the other guy's a modder, you're going to spawn in midair holding an oddball in the same spot over and over again, and his BR is going to one-hit you. Or you're going to be in Warlock, and the other guy's going to be in a Ghost, and the Ghost one-hits you. Or like something stupid where you're totally helpless. And it would happen every fucking time. If you're playing ranked, yeah, and you didn't take the proper precautions to avoid it, there was just nothing you could do. And then like bridging for host became a thing. I still don't understand how it worked, because I never wanted to do it. But like, it was basically like you force the game to give you host. You were manipulating the network to get host, essentially to ensure a fair game. Because not everybody that did that was going to use it to cheat. You know, there was still the Bungie banhammer, you know, like that they would talk about on their blogs of like, they would release like hundreds of names. Like, these are all the people we banned that we know are confirmed cheaters. But they could never keep up. There were so many. So people would bridge host just to get a fair game. That was especially prevalent as you got into like the mid-30s in Team Slayer, or much, much lower in hardcore, because the playlist was just better players played it. But it became like a requirement. You needed to have somebody on your team who knew how to bridge for host and would do it. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up to get cheated. So they alleviated the standby problem with the big patch, but then the modding became the big problem. There was always a problem with cheating in Halo 2, always. I remember all the new maps coming out. I don't think they all came out at once. I think they released 2 at a time. But that was a really exciting time because the new maps for Halo 2 were really good. It was a Turf, Sanctuary, Warlock, Relic, Backwash, which I will defend. I actually really like. I think Backwash is a good map. Much later on, there was Desolation and Tombstone, which were pretty disappointing. The remake of Derelict and the remake of Hang 'em High, those were both really disappointing. They played like fucking trash. Desolation wouldn't have been so bad if the BR's hit registration was a little better, but God, Host could just have his way with people on that map because the sightlines were so open. And same with Desolation. It was a host paradise, but it was just so campy. And like Halo 2's gameplay did not pair well with Hang 'em High's layout because the kill times were so much longer. And so it just made moving difficult. And then the power-ups were slower. The weapon respawn system was slower. You couldn't nade weapons to yourself. Hang 'em High and Halo 2 is just a bad combination. But going back to Backwash, so that map had 2 big problems. 3, if some people think the fog was a big problem. I thought the fog was pretty cool. But 1, you didn't spawn with grenades. That was cooked into the fucking game the same way spawning with plasmas on midship is cooked into the game. Don't ask me why. I thought it was a really stupid decision. But yeah, you didn't spawn with grenades on Backwash, and there was no way to make yourself spawn with grenades. The other major problem, and this is why it got taken out of matchmaking and why I think it has such a bad stigma, was something having to do with the fog or the way the graphics rendered on it. When you played on a 360, you would get like really, really bad ghost imaging. And like, it was almost like the things you saw on your screen would kind of like burn into your screen. You essentially could not play Backwash on a 360. It was really sad because I thought that map was a really fun CTF map, King of the Hill map. It was decent for Slayer. Like, I thought it was a fine map. I just wish you could spawn with frags. But yeah, the fact that you essentially couldn't play it on a 360 and they had to take it out of matchmaking really like made it a lightning rod for the community to just shit on it when far, far worse maps were just skating by, especially later in the franchise. Like, Backwash got all this hate, but like people were fine with Epitaph. Are you kidding me? Epitaph sucks a giant cock. But yeah, I'll defend Backwash. I like that map. One of my favorite parts about Halo 2 Online in that time period in general, it wasn't just Halo, was how everybody used their mic. Like, you were weird if you didn't use your mic. Like, people would you'd join a game with friends and people would introduce you like, yeah, this is my friend that doesn't have a mic. And they would almost like have to explain it. And then the other people that you're meeting would be like, oh, okay. Like that was the reception to it. It was so cool because you'd meet so many characters. You met so many friends. Everybody, all your opponents, all your teammates just had so much personality. The games were so vibrant. I miss that, man. I really miss that. Nowadays, nobody wants to talk to strangers, and I'm guilty of it too. I hardly ever plug my mic in and be in game chat unless I'm playing ranked. But yeah, God, I miss that dearly. And once party chat came out, we pretty much never saw it again. But I understand why party chat is preferable, but we really are missing out on a lot these days. Yeah, the big patch helped a lot. Like, it made the game so much more fun. By that time, I was about to graduate, and I was going to college. I went to Ohio University, and as a freshman there, I didn't know, none of my close friends went there, so I didn't know anybody. And my freshman year, my room was in they called it the Convocation Center. It's like it's an arena. It's where the basketball team played. It's like this big circular dome. And all the dorm rooms in there were quads, just a big open square room with, 2 sets of bunk beds. And so I had 3 roommates and no walls. That was basically the gist of it. And I was just Halo 2 was the only thing I gave a shit about. Like, I cared about my major, I cared about my grades and stuff, but like socially, all I cared about was playing more Halo. And I had this, I don't know, I had this weird ego about the game because I had a fair amount of reps under my belt from Halo 1, and I had gotten better than my local friend group at Halo, and so I carried that ego with me into Halo 2. And this was like, I had just gotten Xbox Live, like maybe a few months before Halo 2 came out, so I'm still like pretty new to online gaming in general and getting reps in against real people. I'm not good at it yet, but I think I am because I'm better than my friends. And it was just like this really toxic mindset for 18-year-old Zach to have this totally unearned ego about my skill in the game. I would routinely get my ass beat. I was getting better. I was constantly improving, but I got my ass beat a lot, and it would just infuriate me. Oh my God. I was a fucking psychopath at 18. And I would be for years too. Like, I would gradually get better at it, but oh my God, my freshman year, my roommates fucking hated me. Like, I had these like weeb roommates. I remember they always had like Adult Swim anime on and shit like every night, and I'd be playing Halo, and Inuyasha would be screaming in my ear. It used to drive me fucking insane. But I was driving them insane too. It was basically screaming at my Xbox like a lunatic over a game I thought I was good at. Eventually 2 of those roommates like moved out, or so it's just me and one other guy, and he was cool, this big fat guy. All he did was watch TV. He could not care less that I was raging at the game. We were cool with each other. So eventually it wasn't so bad, just 2 guys sharing a quad together. But later in that year, I finally made some friends at OU. Just real good people. I'm kind of picky about like who I become friends with, so it took me a couple of quarters. It was a spring quarter, but I found this really good group of friends, and one of them played Halo like I played Halo, and we started playing together, and we were like very, very close in skill, and we got along great. We just related to each other on that level because we both loved the game and just wanted to play it all the time. And so going into the following year, my sophomore year, that was when we're picking roommates, that was the obvious choice. Like, yeah, me and Rico are going to live together because that way we can just fucking play Halo together every day. And we did. Holy shit. My sophomore year of college, Rico and I played Halo together starting at about, 8 o'clock at night. We would play until like 1:32 in the morning, like every fucking night. Oh my God, we put some hours into that game. And it wasn't always on Xbox Live because we discovered XBC around this time too. So when we didn't feel like, the only reason we would ever boot up Xbox Live would have been either to play with friends that weren't there or to play ranked. So if neither of those 2 things would happen, like, why not just play XBC? We can play with good settings, the settings we're picking. We'll be host. And our dorm was all linked up. Our entire building plus the neighboring building were all linked up on the same network. So we would just beat the shit out of the kids in our dorms, like constantly. Like, we'd have to make new profiles so they didn't recognize us. It was to that point. But also we were bringing in all those external people via XBC. So System Link was fucking popping in the dorms, and it was a blast, man. We played the fuck out of that. And it wasn't all just sweaty shit. Like, we'd play like multi-team, like 3-ball oddball or something with like, it was a blast. We used to play this game, No Limit Neutral Flag, where we just played it 10 minutes with no score limit. On like midship, where you could rattle off like 4 or 5 caps in a row if you're tossing them into the window, and we'd play like snipers or something, like No Limit Neutral Flag with spawning with snipers on midship, and the final score would be like 25 24 or something. It was so fun. God, yeah, we played the holy shit out of that. Like, if Rico wasn't around, he was in classes, I would have like a free-for-all lobby set up. Yeah, God, sophomore year we played so much Halo 2. It was a blast. We both got a lot better at the game that year. Speaking of the customs that I used to play, I used to host customs all the time in Halo 2, and I came up with a bunch of goofy shit that we played for years and years and years, like well after Halo 3 came out, and we'd land Halo 2 again. I mean, this is still stuff that we play to this day sometimes. Some of our favorites, the most iconic one we came up with, me and my friends, like I remember a lot of us read the book Ender's Game kind of all around the same time, like our senior year of high school. And if you ever read the book or seen the movie, they have all these kids in this school, and they have them like compete in this kind of like zero gravity laser tag game where if you're able to get a player into the other team's gate, then you win. But if you get shot, you're like frozen or something. So we're trying to like make a Halo version of that, and what we ended up coming up with was multi-bomb assault on Beaver Creek with no shields, and it was carbine starts because we kind of wanted like the space laser aesthetic. It ended up working pretty fine, but then it was only 3 lives and a real short like round limit. Like I want to say it was like 3 minutes or something like that. So like 3-minute rounds, 3 lives, first to 3 rounds wins. So you could either, and it was only 1 arm to win the round. So you could either eliminate the other team or sneakily plant the bomb. It was pretty fun, man. Like I remember, like, you know, one team might get out to an early slaying advantage. It'd be like 4-on-2, but the other team would sneak the bomb across the map and arm behind them. And God, we played that like almost every custom game night, every LAN. It's a staple for years. We were able to bring forward this game from Halo 1 that we used to play. We called it Skullfuck. It was free-for-all, oddball with rockets on Wizard/Warlock. Real short score to win, like first to 1 minute or something. But the real way to win, getting first to a minute was just kind of the way to end the game. The real way to win was to punch somebody with the ball and get a kill with the ball. So whoever had the most ball kills won. That shit was fun as hell. More fun than it sounds. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but once you have the ball in your hands and you get really, really close to getting a kill with it, you kind of see the appeal. It's a lot of fun. What's the good play? I had a game called Buttfuck Salad that people seem to like. Just of that one was King of the Hill on midship. Hill does not move. It's free for all. You spawn with a sword, and a secondary was a needler, so you could YY. Radar was on. It was like a Killtacular factory. That was kind of the gist of the game, was like an excuse to try to get a Kilimanjaro, just by sorting people over and YYing your sword and using your radar to line up your next kill. And that one was a lot of fun. So one of the coolest memories for me back in, this would have been 2005. It would have been my freshman year of college, or this might have been early 2006, but it was my freshman year. And the Ogres, Tom and Dan Ryan, went to Ohio University for 1 year. We were freshmen together. We're the same age. We were on the same green. We're West Green, and that's where my friends that I had made late, like spring quarter of like early 2006, that they lived on West Green as well, in the same dorm as the Ogres, like same floor and everything. The Ogres lived like 5 or 6 doors down the hallway, and I learned that, like, I was so fucking into MLG at the time. Like, I was on forums and stuff. I knew that they were at OU, and I kind of already knew which dorm they were in. But then once my friends, like, I discovered they just lived right down the hall, I eventually met them. And that was really cool. Like, I was in their dorm room. I was talking to them and shit and watching them play. It was only like once. It's not like I stalked them or anything, but I was really excited to meet them. And they lived in a triple, so they had a third roommate who was also from Pickerington, one of their high school friends. And him and I became like decent friends that year. And he actually became my reference for MLG. He would help me eventually get the job as a referee for MLG, where I worked the 2008 season. That was because of the Ogre's roommate, Adam, that I had met my freshman year, and he was an RA in our dorm our sophomore year. And my roommate Rico and I used to 2v2 him and his friend Dan on the dorm system link a lot. So that was pretty cool to meet him. He helped me get one of my favorite jobs I've ever had, working for MLG. But yeah, it was pretty cool to meet the Ogres. I remember Tom walking down the hallway one day, and I was in my buddy's room, and we had a Halo 2 like main menu was on, and he peeks his head in the door and he goes, "Hey, I know that game," and then he just walks down the hall. Like, it was, for me, being as big of a competitive Halo fan as I was at the time, it was very fucking cool for me. One of my favorite memories during Halo 2's lifespan was at OU, when I went there, like towards the end of my freshman year and beginning of my sophomore year, they were opening up what they called the Grid Lab, GRID, the Grid Lab. I forget what it stands for, but it was essentially a LAN center. But they had some bullshit justification for it, where like they were using it to do studies or whatever. They had some kind of like academia reason for it to exist and get paid for by the university. But really, it was just a LAN center. And I was really excited about this my freshman year, because my freshman year I didn't know anybody yet. So I viewed it as an opportunity to meet people. And I remember volunteering to help like set it up. And I remember like carrying TVs and shit for them. So I kind of knew the people that ran it a little bit because of the volunteer stuff I had done for them. And I was able to use that the following year, my sophomore year. I saw some signage up for them that they were running a Halo 2 tournament, a 2v2 tournament. And it was still like a few weeks away, so I had time, and I went in and talked to him, and I wanted to know more about it. I was like, hey, like, what settings are you guys using? What format are you guys using? They had no fucking idea. And I was able to essentially like be a consultant for it. And what ended up happening was I pretty much got to shape the tournament exactly the way I wanted it. I convinced them. It was like a Bungie forum argument in real life, because I remember one of the guys that I had to convince was like the biggest Melvin ever. And then there were a room of like everyone else in the room like didn't really play Halo, so I was just kind of like arguing in front of an audience. It was really fucking satisfying because I was just winning every argument. And I was able to argue for BR starts. I was able to argue for no radar. I was able to argue for no duels on the map. That was one of the things like, well, if we do BR starts, then everyone will just be using the noob combo. And I was like, not if you do no duels. And then just like, you should have seen like the stunned look on his face when I said that. So yeah, I was able to like make the settings decent that we were going to play to. And then we used free-for-all to seed the tournament, where it was 2v2, so we split up all the partners, and none of the partners are in the same free-for-all game. And then we used the sum of their kills to seed. And then Rico and I both won our free-for-alls, and we fucking won the whole tournament. It was so funny. Like, I was just able to shape the whole tournament to exactly the way I wanted it. Brought in my partner, and we went and won the damn thing, and paid for my textbooks that semester with the Halo winnings. That was very satisfying. One of my favorite memories. I think, God, during that tournament, I think one of our first round games, we beat a team on Warlock like 50-2, I think. It was savage. It was fucking savage. But I remember the TVs they had us playing on. They had us playing on these big flat screen like plasma TVs. And you got to remember, this is 2006. So the input delay on TVs like that was fucking atrocious. Like, you needed to either play on a computer monitor or a CRT TV back then. Because if you played on like a regular like living room flat screen TV, it felt like absolute shit. So I remember that tournament being artificially hard just because it was so difficult to aim. But yeah, that was one of my favorite memories. Him and I were just laughing the whole time. The following year, our whole friend group all moved into a house together since we didn't have to be in the dorms anymore. We had like 7 of us living in a house. Rico and I picked our rooms. They were adjacent rooms, and this house was weird. It had like these doors that would open in the middle. It was almost like a sliding door, but not to lead outside. It led into each other's rooms. So our Xboxes were set up like pretty close to each other, and we just opened the doors when we wanted to play with each other. It was really fun. That would have been like right before Halo 3 came out. I remember playing a bunch of like, we had real creative names for the games we played. Called it Drink When You Die. We just, like, when we weren't in the mood to like play anything serious, we'd be like, all right, let's play Drink When You Die. And the way that would work is one person would play, but both of us would drink, and it was would play a free for all. And of course, every time the person dies, everyone takes a drink. It's more fun than it sounds. Well, you'd go through a beer and a half per game unless you're really shitting on the lobby. Yeah, that was a good time. And then we had our girlfriends do it one time, but we changed up the game to where instead of Drink When You Die, how about it's chug your entire beer if they get a kill. And then so we played it one time, a girl got no kills, and we were just laughing. The next girl gets up, and she gets a Rockets game, and we're like, fuck, man, she's gonna accidentally get like 3 kills. And she did. We got so fucking drunk. But it was fun. That was about the end of Halo 2. I did skip over some stuff in 06. I went to a bunch of tournaments in 2006. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I drove up to Bowling Green for a 4v4 tournament and a 2v2 tournament, so 2 separate ones. Just kind of getting reality checked. Like we weren't any good at the game, but we also didn't know how bad we were at the game. That was such an interesting time to not know where on the scale you were yet. And that 2v2 tournament in particular, like we played okay. I think our placement wasn't terrible. I don't remember what it was, but we did play the team that ended up winning the whole thing. BG unit, Bowling Green, BG unit. They were fucking ridiculous. Like, I've just never seen anybody that, like, I learned all kinds of like little shortcuts and shit from watching them play, like the way they were using like the combo on midship, like able to throw a nade while like still having your combo charge, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'm just watching them play. Like, they're so efficient, their teamwork was so good, and I was just picking up on all these little tricks they were doing. I'm like, God, man, I didn't realize how much I still had to learn about this game, and I was fucking obsessed with the game. I was following MLG. I was watching all of like the Final Boss, Carbon Saga. I was following all of that. I loved it. The show on USA, and later on the next season on G4. I watched all of that. I was thrilled about that. What else? Yeah, we went to a tournament down in Cincinnati, a 4v4 tournament that we practiced for a while. And it was a really well-ran, just local game store tournament, and it was real close to Kentucky. So Elamite and Strongside and Ace, they're all from that area. They attended that tournament and just whooped everyone's ass. I remember watching Ace play in that tournament. They were playing oddball and midship, and he had the ball. He was holding it in basement, but he also had sword. And I just watched him get like 15 kills in a row of just dropping the ball and sorting kids. It was just ridiculous, man. Like, at one point, like, Strongside got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of one of his games because they just knew they were going to win. It was that dominant. It was insane. God, man, there's so many memories of that game. It's so hard to like think of them all right now. But that, I'm sure I'll record again once I remember something I forgot. But yeah, for now, that is everything I can remember about Halo 2 during its lifespan. Halo 3 came out in September of 2007. That would have been my fall quarter of my junior year in college. And so yeah, it was mostly my senior year, my freshman year, my sophomore year. All the shenanigans I got into with this game. Yeah, I forgot to mention real early on, like pre-patch, we were still having big LANs with Halo 2. We were still able to put them together, but we realized pretty much on launch night how fucking terrible split screen was in Halo 2. How your field of view was so small. It was just miserable to play split screen. So when we land, we really strongly encouraged everybody to bring their own shit. Bring their own Xbox, their own TV. We had fucking spreadsheets of like, okay, this person's coming. He has an Xbox and he has the game, but he can't bring a TV. This person's coming. He can bring a TV. And like, just trying to put all that shit together. And we were so naive at the time. We're just like, bigger is better. Can we get 16 people? Let's get 16 people. You know, when we had the opportunity to LAN, like, we fucking went for it, man. Like, I remember this kid hosted this 16-person LAN where pretty much everybody had their own station in Halo 2, just playing like coagulation CTF. It was insane. It was absolutely insane, the shit that we would do to play this damn game. A Halo 2 LAN is just so, like, logistically intensive, because it's not worth playing if you don't have your own setup. Especially back then, because we're talking CRT TVs. We weren't playing on monitors yet. So everybody was bringing a CRT TV and their own Xbox. It was the shit we were able to plan as, like, 17-year-olds was pretty crazy. I don't remember the last thing. Oh yeah, a story from one of those Halo 2 LANs. I remember playing this CTF coagulation game, and it was going a while. This is like before I kind of figured out what good custom settings were. Like, I knew I wanted BR SMG starts, and I knew I wanted no radar, but I didn't have like flag settings dialed in yet, or round time limits dialed in yet. So we're playing a fucking CTF coag with no time limit, just because that's how it was in Halo 1. Like, that was the only reasoning I had. And we're playing fucking touch return when we don't need to play touch return on coag. So the game is just lasting forever. And I remember we got into this flag stalemate, and our kid, we give our worst player hold the flag and hide. Like, that was his job. We're all going to go try to return the flag. And it was probably a good 10 plus minutes of trying to get this fucking flag back. And I remember we finally killed a kid, and we're like moving in to return this flag, and we're all freaking out, like, oh my God, let's go, let's get ready to the cap. And the kid who we gave the flag to was so oblivious. He had no fucking idea what he was supposed to do once we returned it. And I remember we had him hiding like behind our base, like touching the base, but on the back wall outside. He was hiding there. And so we finally returned the flag, and we're like, go. I don't remember what his name was. Let's call him James. James, go, score it. And he's like, I don't know how. And we're like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know how? Go! Like, the game gives you an arrow, follow the arrow. So he has like 6 people screaming at him to try to instruct him on how to capture this fucking flag. And he's like freaking out. It's like this total spike of stress for this kid, because he had like no responsibility for a solid 10 minutes leading up to this, and then all of a sudden 5 heads turned toward him and just scream, go there, go, make a right, jump up here, go through this door. That's probably like one of my favorite moments of that. I think he got killed and the flag got returned, and we were all so mad at him. But it was, looking back on it, was pretty hilarious. The other moment from a Halo 2 LAN that jumps out at me before Halo 3 came out, one of my favorite kills of all time. Same kid from the Halo 1 LAN who quit the Halo 1 LAN on the Damnation jump to the Overshield. Same kid. We're playing Sanctuary, I don't remember the game mode. But I'm on the main ramp of a base headed towards center, headed towards ring 1. And I start getting shot in the back by a kid on flag. And I turn around to shoot, and this particular kid, he always had like composure problems in a fight. Like he'd get so mad at the game because he'd get first shot and routinely end up losing the fight because he had no composure. And so I turn around just to start to shoot back, and he shits his pants and he throws a grenade, which those of you that have played a lot of Halo 2 know you don't do that in the middle of a fight. Because what happened was, on my very first shot, I shot the grenade as it's coming out of his hand. First bullet blows up the nade. Second two go through his head. I kill him in one shot. He fucking loses his mind. I hear him, like, we're on separate floors in the house that we're landing at, and I hear his controller hit the floor. And this is winter. Like, snow is on the ground. It's nighttime. It's fucking cold out. And I remember by the time I was just still like, so-and-so quit the game. He quit right there on the spot, spiked his controller, and the game ends like fairly shortly after that, and I go upstairs, and I'm like, all right, where'd he go? And he's like, yeah, he left. And I'm like, dude, he quit the LAN again? Like, are you fucking kidding me? And I remember, okay, there's a few funny things about that. One, he walked home in winter. Like, just fucking psychopath. In Columbus, Ohio, in winter at night, he walks home because he's so mad at the game. But two, what he left behind, it was just legendary. His controller that he spiked, one of the rumble motors came out of the controller, and the controller like sealed itself back up. So it was just like this rumble motor still attached via a cord to the rest of the innards of the controller, but the controller was still like sealed. So it, like, this rumble motor like miraculously escaped the controller that looked otherwise okay. And there was this like dent in the fucking hardwood floor from where he spiked the controller. It was like, how the hell did he manage that? So yeah, that's one of my other favorite kills from a LAN, is I mean, I feel bad about it, but it's so fucking funny that it's hard to not like appreciate. I think that's the last time he ever landed as well. But yeah, anyways, that is pretty much everything I can remember from before Halo 3 came out, during Halo 2's lifespan. I hope I didn't bore you too much with that. It's more so just a way for me to entertain myself while I'm on the road. But I am definitely interested in hearing everybody's experiences, everything they can remember from this period in their lives. How old were you? What was going on in your life? What were the most memorable parts of it before Halo 3 came out that really stick with you all these years later? It's almost 20 years now. But man, that game was a huge, huge part of my life for 3 solid years. And I'm glad I was able to share it with you. Thank you for listening.